Okay, so we watched the video on Pascal's triangle. You guys filled all of this in. One thing that you may not have written down are the row values. So I want you to write down at least the first few. This top row that only has one is called row 0. This is row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, so on and so forth. All right, so you guys filled this in. So you were adding these together, the two above numbers here. Okay, when we are using this, we are going to be using this for something called binomial expansion that was mentioned in your video. Okay, and so you guys finished that. What can you say about the relationship between the row number and the number of terms in each row? So in row 1, you have 2 terms. In row 0, you have 1 term. Okay, and row 2, you have 3. In row 3, you have 4. So you should say something about how the row number is 1 less than the number of terms, or you can say the number of terms is 1 more than the row number. Okay, and then it says, what can you say about the relationship between the row number and the second term? So if you go to the second term in row 1, it is 1. Remember in the video they said, oh, think of this as a 0 here and a 0 here. Technically there's no second term, but it would be 0. The second term here is 2. Second term 3, 4, 5, 6. So those should be the same. The row number in the second term is the same as what you should have written down. Okay, and then they gave you several patterns in the video. So some common ones is if you look at this second diagonal, see how the numbers are going to go up by 1 each time? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here it's going to go up by +2, then +3, then +4, then +5. It's going to keep going. You can say the numbers are symmetric or they repeat. You can mention the triangular numbers or the tetrahedrons. Okay, any of those are fine. Just make sure you have that filled out. So we are going to use Pascal's triangle today to expand each binomial. All right, so all you have to do is look at the row number. So if it's x plus y to the third, okay, you are going to go to row 3 and you are going to list the terms from row 3. Okay, so in row 3 we have 1, 3, 3, 1. Again, I want you to give yourself a nice deal of space here. 1, 3, 3, 1. Don't scrunch them together. Okay, the first term, you start at the highest exponent, and then it goes down. Okay, so the first term starts at highest exponent, and then it goes down. So our first term is x. The highest exponent is going to be 3. So this would be x cubed. What's the next one going to be? X squared. After x squared would be x. So this is x to the third, x to the second, x to the first, and then x to the 0. What is anything to the 0 power? 1. So I will start just writing 1 for that. And then the other one just goes in the opposite order. Okay, so for y, it starts at the lowest, which would be y to the 0, which is 1, y to the first, y to the second, y to the third. Okay, so second term starts at exponent of 0 and goes up. And then all we have to do is multiply each column. Okay, so if I'm multiplying the first column, I do 1 times x cubed times a 1, because y to the 0 is 1, so that's x cubed. For my second column, I'm going to multiply 3 by x squared by y to the first, so we would write that as 3x squared y. Okay, you try the next two. Okay, so multiply straight down. And then don't forget to put your addition symbols in between. This is a polynomial. Okay, so you have 3xy squared plus y cubed. Okay, so before we learn Pascal's triangle, if you had x plus y to the third, okay, you would multiply it out like this. Remember how we were like foiling before? You could do that, right? X squared plus 2xy plus y squared and then multiply. Okay, you could do that, distribute, but this way is a little bit quicker, so we are going to learn both ways and know both ways. Okay, so for the next one, your exponent is 5. So you are going to look at row 5, and we're going to write those coefficients above. So in row 5, I have 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1. Okay, so I have 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1. My first term is x. All right, so I'm just going to do a little color coding here. So for the x, I start at the highest. So x to the 5th, x to the 4th, x to the 3rd, squared, x, and then you can put x to the 0 or you can just put 1. That's fine. Okay, just understand that comes from x to the 0 power. -2, you have to take the negative with it. So -2 to the power of 0 is 1. What's -2 to the power of 1? -2. What's -2 to the power of 2? +4. What's -2 to the power of 3? -8. What's the next one? 16. What's the next one? -32. All you have to do is keep multiplying by what? -2. So -8 times -2, 16. 16 times -2, -32. Okay, and then again, we're going to go straight down. So the first one's always the simplest. 1 times x to the 5th times 1 is x to the 5th. Okay, here, it's really not too bad. I like to circle it so I know what I'm multiplying. -2 times 5 is -10. X to the 4th. 4 times 10, 40. -8 times 10, -80. What's 5 times 16? What is it? 80, because 5 times 10 is 50, 5 times 6 is 30. Okay, so this will be 80x. Okay, and then the last one, -32. Okay, so that's going to be your final answer. Okay, so again, we're using Pascal's triangle to expand. Okay, but now we're going to have some coefficients with variables. So we're going to have to keep track of a few different things. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is row 4. Okay, and we're going to put those coefficients, and we're going to give ourselves a lot of room. So it's 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. Okay, so we have 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. All right, now the first term is 2x. So when you're doing this, we're going to start with 2x to the 5th. And you can write these down, like this part quickly, which might be helpful. Oh, sorry, I started at 5. So 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 0 is just 1. Okay, so then what I like to do is I like to simplify those. So 2 to the 4th, okay, that just means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Okay, so 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 4 is 16. So 16x to the 4th. 2 to the 3rd, 8x to the 3rd. 2 squared, 4x squared. Okay, this would just be 2x. All right, and then negative 3y. Again, you need to take that negative. The first one is 1. You have negative 3y to the first, negative 3y to the second, negative 3y cubed, negative 3y to the 4th. Okay, I want you to simplify underneath. And you might have one on your homework where the numbers are really large. If the numbers are really large, you can use your calculator. Okay, we'll just practice with mental math. Oh, like like part B. Part B, you can use your calculator because you're going to do 7 to the 5th, okay? So that's okay. All right, so to the first power is just negative 3y. When you square a negative, negative 3 times negative 3 is what? 9. So this is 9y squared. If it's odd, you should have a negative. 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. Negative 27 times 3 is, or actually with this one, if it's negative 3 to the 4th, what's negative 3 squared? 9. So you can just do 9 times 9 to get 81, or you can do negative 27 times 3. Okay, and then we are going to multiply straight down. So again, you have 1 times 16x to the 4th times 1. Okay, here we have to do 4 times 8 times 3. So 8 times negative 3 is negative 24. 24 and 24 is 48. 48 and 48, negative 96. Okay, and then it's x cubed y. Okay, here we have 6 times 4 times 9. So for one like that, you can decide what you're multiplying first. I might do 9 times 6 is 54. And then on the side, I would do this out. So 16, carry the 1. That's going to be 216. Okay, it is fine if you have to write out that on the side. Okay, and then here, 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times negative 27. That might be something else you want to do on the side. 16 plus 5. 216 again. So pay attention to your signs. After we write this whole thing down, I want you to notice something that's happening with the signs. Yeah, they alternate, exactly right. And that's because you alternate from an odd to an even. So the odd powers are negative, the even powers are going to be positive. Okay, so because this is 7 to the 5th power, you can use your calculator for this. So we're going to start with row 5. Nope, but you know how to make it now, right? So you always would start with 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 1, and you won't have anything bigger than 5. Yep. Okay, so 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1. Okay, and then your first one is 7w to the 5th, 7w to the 4th, 7w cubed, 7w squared, 7w, 1. Okay, and then you have 4z. So it's 1, 4z, 4z squared, 4z cubed, 4z to the 4th, 4z to the 5th. Okay, so if you're using your calculator with this, we're going to do 7 to the 5th power. Okay, so I'm going to start this down here because I think this is just going to be a really large number. So 16,807 w to the 5th. That's what we have for the first one. Okay, these are both positive, so I know this is going to be a plus. So in your calculator, you can do 7 to the 4th first if you want, and then you multiply that by 5, and then you multiply that by 4. Okay, so that's going to give you your coefficient. 48,020 w to the 4th. If you want to put them all in at one time, you can. So you could do 10 times 7 to the 3rd times, oh yeah, sorry, you need the z. Thank you. W to the 4th z. And then for this one, it would be 4 squared, or you can just put in 16. So you'd have 54,880. W would be to the power of 3. Z would be to the power of 2. Okay, I want you to finish the last two, and then we're going to check them together to make sure that you got it. And if you're done, just wait to check your answer with mine. You can write down your homework that goes with that. So if you know 7 squared is 49, just put it in your calculator as 49. And then if you're not sure of 4 cubed, so you should have 31,360 w squared, and then z to the 3rd. Okay, for this one, you'd have 5 times 7 times 4 to the 4th. So 8960 w z to the 4th. Oops, and I put my parenthesis in the wrong place, so it does need to be here. If not, then it wouldn't apply to everything. So 4 to the 5th is 1,024 z to the 5th. And if you look at your final answer, look at what's happening to the w. So I would just double check this, because then I would catch my mistake that I made here. So it should go W5, 4, 3, 2, 1, none. Z's from the back should go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, none. And I forgot to put that Z there, so that's a really good thing to just do a quick check with. When you are doing your 4 or 5 homework, okay, it's 1 through 6 and 9 through 12. For 1 through 5, those are the no calculator problems. So I should see the calculations on your paper.